Alrighty, well, thanks for joining me this afternoon, Alex. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm excited. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, sensational. As always, we kind of kick off on the podcast with a bit of an intro to your family before we chat about the businessy stuff. But yeah, did you want to sort of tell us about your family?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're kind of entwined, actually, family and business, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, I have my parents, my Miriam and Peter, they started the business actually in 2008. So I've always kind of grown up with small family owned business as kind of part of my DNA, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and then I have a sister, and then I also have two other brothers from my dad's previous marriages, and they have their family as well. So that's kind of like small, tight knit family.
Yeah, awesome. And how about your spouse?
Yeah, of course. Then I have my beautiful partner, Kristen. Yeah, we've been together for 8.5 years now. We're not married yet, but that will be happening soon, which is very exciting. We recently moved up to Queensland together and are loving it up here and are now feeling like we're in the right place to start our own family as well, which is really exciting. So, yeah, in a really nice place there. And, it's funny you talk about family, and I think how my family relationship has evolved over the years. And I feel like it's in a really beautiful place now. I have a much deeper connection with even my brothers from my dad's other marriages. I'm much closer with them and have a respect for them that I didn't have all those years ago. I just didn't really understand it. So our family's in a really beautiful place at the moment. It's quite nice.
Awesome. No, that's great to hear. And I love the photos of the trips to the beach you get. Almost seems like almost every day or every second day. So well done.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what it's about, right? I mean, it's one of the many reasons we go into business, I believe, because we want to have some of that freedom. And for me, like being able to live near the beach and go for a bike ride in the morning or go for a surf and come back and eat some fruit and then jump and do some work, and having that lifestyle was always one of the goals. I saw from early on my dad just stuck in business, working like a slave to his own business. And I was like, I don't think that's the point.
Yeah.
So I always worked to make sure that, yeah, my goal was always not to get stuck in the business and to empower others. And I wanted to be living this life. And now I'm blessed to be able to do that at what some people would say is a young age.
Yeah, it is definitely young. I was just yeah, admiring the what you've achieved. And I guess that's a good segue into the business side of things. Like you have achieved some pretty cool things in a short amount of time. And as your accountant, we've had front row seats to it. So, did you want to walk us through maybe your journey? I think it's probably pretty important to start with when your parents kicked off the business, what that looked like, and then when you came into it and what happened since. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess to give people some context, I'm the CEO for a business called iHealth Saunas, and we specialize in infrared saunas with a focus to helping our clients take their health to higher levels. And the business started in 2008. My parents started it, and it was just my mum had a passion for health. She was really into just experiencing more, if you will, and having more energy and those sort of things. She was, she would lecture me when I was like 12 on like filtered water. I was like, Mum, like, shut up, come on, like I want to go and eat KFC. And my dad was always like the business side of things. He was always the entrepreneur and doing that. He unfortunately wasn't as healthy, but they came together. They'd learned about infrared saunas and the power of sauna, and they said, let's do this. And it just started as a small venture, if you will. And they started building it up there. They wanted to bring a really good quality infrared sauna to the Australian market at an affordable price. And they cared about their clients and they were passionate about the product. And that's how it kicked off. You know, it was in some way humble beginnings, if you will. They still had other businesses that they were running at the time. And then over the preceding, call it 7 or 8 years, it started to get busier and busier. They were still running a very traditional style business, if you will. And it built up to a point where that became their main business. By this stage, I was installing saunas on the weekend as like a way to earn some pocket money in my late teens, you know. And I progressively was just always kind of involved, but it was just a side gig. I was doing mechanical engineering and never kind of thought I would end up being in the business because I just saw it as a business, nothing kind of too exciting. But when I started in my early 20s to get healthy, all of a sudden, all the things that my mum was drilling into me from a young age started to make sense. You know, all of a sudden I wanted to be drinking filtered water. I wanted to be eating more cleanly, and I wanted to be experiencing more in life. And as I started to improve my health, I started realizing that at iHealth Saunas, that's actually what we were doing. Like, we weren't selling saunas. We were helping people with their health. And there was one summer, one very fateful summer. I was like 21 at the time. And I worked full time over the summer period to help in the business, just as a way to keep me busy, I guess, over the summer. And I had to send out testimonials to our clients, like post them out. Like, this was old school, man. Like, we'd print off like a 10-page thing and put it in the post, send it to the clients, and then we would hope that they would then write a testimonial and send it back. And one of our clients in South Australia sent back a story and came in the mail. I opened it up and I read it. And basically, she was sent home to die with a very debilitating disease called polymyalgia rheumatica. Basically, the body seizes up and rigor mortis sets in over time. And she was sent home to die, 3 months to live. Wow. And as a last-ditch effort, her friend convinced her to buy one of our infrared saunas because it helps with circulatory conditions. She bought the sauna, started to get a bit more movement back within the first couple of weeks. Months later, she had complete movement. A couple months after that, no pain. And she was alive at that day, and she's still alive today. And that was 7 years ago now. And I'm reading this, and I'm just like, guys, like, we're changing people's lives here. Like, this isn't just it's not a gimmick. It's not something that's going to not work in the future. Like, this is a fundamental holistic approach to health and what infrared sauna does to the body. And that just, I mean, consciously at the time, I didn't really notice how much of an effect it had. But 2 months after that, I said to my parents, I'm leaving uni and I want to come and work here full time.
What was their reaction to that?
Yeah, it was, look, I think on the inside, my dad was jumping for joy.
Yeah.
But at the time, he's like, no, you're not. You have to stay in uni, you know, because I don't know. He felt like he had to say that maybe, but my mum got it. And within the next kind of couple of days, they said, okay, like, if that's what you want to do.
Wow.
Anyways, sorry.
Just before we go into from that point onwards, you shared some really, like, that was an amazing story, amazing testimonial. But what are the other benefits that you sort of share that saunas help with, and even other conditions that you've seen, completely cured?
Yeah, I'm hesitant to use the word cured. However, what I would say is our clients typically come to us to help reduce pain, lose weight, sleep better, detox, right? Those things, with regular sauna use, will happen for most people. But chronic pain's the number one, like inflammatory conditions like arthritis, polymyalgia, like I said, fibromyalgia, those sort of chronic inflammatory conditions, even acute inflammation after a workout, those kind of things are really going to see a big benefit from sauna use. Cardiovascular health, so heart rate variability, and just general heart strength, we're going to see a big improvement there with regular sauna use as well. And just general, like, stress reduction as well, as the sauna gets us into a parasympathetic nervous system and calms us down.
And stops us still for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yes. 30 minutes a piece, man.
Yeah, that's it. And so when you say regular sauna use, I know that everyone might have a different approach and different temperatures and times, but what would you suggest? Regular looks like to the average person.
Yeah. I'd say like 3 or more times a week.
Yep.
Treat it like going to the gym. If you go to the gym once a week, you're probably not going to see any changes in your body, right? You have to make it regular. And it's like that with everything in life, Ben. Like, if you want to improve your level of health, then you need to bring in daily rituals to then achieve that. You can't just do something once and then you're going to see the benefit. Like, it has to be built into the day-to-day life. I'm really big on that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
That's no, very cool. And yeah, no, I've actually I bought a sauna from you probably what was that 3 or 4 years ago, and yeah, they're top quality. Love it, and yeah, it's so good.
I did not pay you to say that, by the way.
No, you didn't. But all righty. Well, yeah. So just sort of jumping back to your journey, you mentioned that you just quit uni, and then heading into the business. Yeah, take us from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So then I started working full time, was doing my thing, and anyway, things just changed for the business. Like, we reached a peak in 2014, and I don't even know how we got to the level we did. I can't remember the revenue we were doing at the time, but I think we sold 800 units or something that year.
Wow.
Maybe 750 units. I'm not sure. But it was still a very 20th century business model. It was very commission based from a sales perspective. We were doing shows and events around the country, and so it was very like high operational expense. The GP, the gross profit wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, and there just wasn't any culture within the business, and people were really just there for the paycheck. And at the end of 2016, I was by that stage kind of running the business alongside my dad, and he had a bit of a health scare, ironically. And at that time, I said to him, like, you're either going to let me run the business or I'm going to leave, because I can't see you like kill yourself and work yourself into the ground, especially whilst the business needs to change, for us to survive, and so, at the start of 2017, with a big dose of ignorance, I think Dad agreed, and I started running the business. So I became the guy. And I say a big dose of ignorance because I think I wasn't really aware of what was involved, but at that time we had, well, once I really got into the P&L properly with a bit of space, like we were in like $750,000 worth of debt between our main supplier, between like other creditors that we worked with, marketing agencies and things. So we were in pretty deep, and also we were running out of an overdraft as well. So we had an overdraft of $250,000, which we were pretty much tapped on. So by tapped, I mean used all of it. So yeah, we weren't in the best shape, and I don't know. I just had this belief. Well, I do know. I had this belief that we could change it, and so from there, really, my ownership journey really begun. And I guess I got committed and started doing, started getting into the hard work, which I was seeing was being avoided. We had team, which, like I said, we didn't have that vision as a business, and so I started to bring that vision in. Like, we're here to create a healthier world. For me, it was all about helping people with their health. Saunas are great, yes, but how do we educate people? How do we get people feeling great and then excited to do more in their life? Because at the same time, I was also seeing that the more I did to help with my health as I was healing and getting cleaner, the more my life opened up, the more beautiful relationships I could have, the more money I was earning. And I wanted to help people experience the same thing through our education and through our sauna being the catalyst to helping them feel better initially to then make better health decisions. And so it was with that kind of vision that we started to bring into the business. And over time, the team changed. You know, we had a team of 9 or 10, I think, at the time. And, you know, that team just slowly changed as the energy of the business changed. I got really clear on our numbers. And, you know, initially I was like, oh, well, I'll just cut all of our expenses. It's like, well, you can't cut your way to being highly profitable, but, you know, that's part of what needs to be done. And certainly getting clear on the numbers was really important. And to be honest, that in itself took like over a year really of kind of testing and measuring and learning more about numbers, you know.
And just on that, you've got my attention being an accountant and just observing conversations with you over the last few years. You definitely know your numbers. And did you want to maybe share some of the key ones that are top of mind? So you could probably say, well, look, this is our XYZ right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the main ones: GP, gross profit, knowing what our operational expenses are in a given month on average. I work a lot on averages over like a 3-month period, or sometimes a 12-month period, 6-month period, depending on what I'm looking at. But averages are handy in a business like ours, which tended to fluctuate a fair bit. So I'm always looking at the GP, I'm looking at the OPEX, and I'm looking at them as a percentage of the total revenue, because our revenue may change and I want to see what the various numbers are as a percentage. And then within that, I don't spend too much time looking into the nitty gritty of the OPEX now, but I just measure like some of the key areas, like our marketing and promotion expenses, for example. I look there when setting budgets, those kind of things. And then we have a few numbers that we're optimizing for. So at the moment, over the last 6 months, we've changed the way that we structured our operations to be able to deliver more quickly. And so our GP improved as our freight reduced. And so I just kind of measure our freight as a percentage of total sales to make sure that we're achieving what we want to be achieving with that strategy. So there's always a number that's kind of linked to a greater strategy that we're working on. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
I think also actually just jumping out of the P&L is, I mean, there's a heap, like the P&L is obviously the final piece, but there's other business numbers that are equally as important. Like we have our own board that we actually look at every Monday morning with the whole team. And the sales and the ops and the product team have their own numbers on that board. And they're like the key business metrics that I guess keep us ticking along.
And if you're comfortable, could you share us some of those ones, like maybe the non-financial?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of them are financial, some of them aren't. So with the sales team, we look at sales revenue. Actually, we recently stopped that. So now we just look at total units.
Yep.
Because the sales revenue doesn't mean much to some team. It means more to other people on the team, whereas units is something tangible.
For how many saunas we sell in time. Yep.
That's it. So how many saunas we sell, we look at the average sale price.
Yep.
Because that's really important. Then we break down the sales per team member. Then we look at our average, our conversion rate. It's also part of the sales. That's like the number one most important number, really, because for 1,000 reasons. And there's actually a lot that goes into conversion rate. It's not just the sales team ability.
Yep.
It's also how we qualify those leads to get to that point. You know, so there's a bit of a marketing piece there, making sure that the leads that are coming through are not just the right quality, but they've had the right expectation set. They've had the right experience, because that's really important for us. And then that flows into the experience that the sales team give them. And then the sales team's ability. So that all kind of comes into the conversion rate. So we measure that really, really closely. And for us, we have a lead time, like average time from sale to delivery is like 14 days, sometimes less, sometimes more. But so we measure our conversion rate on leads from a period of 2 to 6 weeks prior. So we don't want to look at how many we converted from last week, because
Yeah.
They may not have had a chance to convert yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So then that's sales. And then outside of that, we look at average time from sale to delivery. And then, there's a couple other numbers, like some website numbers and things, but those are the main ones.
Yeah. Yep. It's good to hear that. And I think that even that delivery time matters so much to a customer if they've sort of ordered and paid for something. They don't want to wait 3 or 4 months. And well done on that delivery time with the conditions we're in. That's geez.
Yeah, we've got an awesome team. We work hard.
Yeah, awesome. There you go. And so, no, thanks for sharing the numbers. And yeah, again, another conversation that confirms you clearly understand the key drivers in the business. And you've also got the added maybe challenge, given you're a product business rather than a service, of cash flowing your stock and holding that stock. And
Yep.
If there are any other sort of product-based businesses, that every day a piece of stock is on the floor costs you money, or it's cash tied up that's not in your bank account. So again, that's another challenge that a lot of other businesses don't have.
Yeah, big time. And this year, it's been a real challenge managing stock levels, and we actually committed to stock up a bit more than we normally do, because there was so much volatility in shipping alone, let alone the raw materials and those sort of things. So we had a whole kind of strategy around that, and we didn't execute perfectly, but it's been pretty challenging to execute stock perfectly this year, from my experience and what I've heard from others around the world.
I think customers have a bit more leeway on that stuff as well. Like, they're probably not as, given everyone's going through it. Cranky.
Yeah, most people are pretty understanding now. But I mean, we still have to do our best. We can only control what we can control. So within that, we do absolutely everything we can, regardless of the circumstances. And you touched on cash flow as well. We, just jumping back to the numbers real quick, we generate a lot of our inquiry through our website. And so using those inquiry, I can then project our sales based on our current numbers forward, because I know how many inquiries we get in each month based on previous data.
Yep.
So then I can say, well, we typically get this many inquiries in this month. We're converting at this %, and our average sale price is X. Therefore, in that month, our sales revenue is likely to be whatever it is. And so that helps from a cash flow perspective, because then I have the numbers on average time from sale to delivery. So I know when those saunas are going to get delivered, that's when the money's going to come into the bank. And then I can project that out over 6 months or 12 months to really get an accurate understanding of, this is what our cash flow looks like. So currently I have that over a 12-month period, and that's been game changing in terms of being able to make decisions from a point of knowledge.
Yeah, wow, that is so good. And I guess you've kind of touched on a few times throughout our conversation that culture has been a huge part as well. So talk us through some of the changes that you've made, or even like the tangible things you've introduced that's helped your culture and the impact it's had on the business.
Yeah, this one I really love talking about, because I think in small business, it all gets driven from the owner, right? Like how we as the owner or the CEO or whatever we call ourselves, how we go about our work and our life influences the people who are within our team, from my experience. So I knew that I wanted to live and breathe the lifestyle and just, I guess, almost be an inspiration to those on the team. I mean, that's a bit of my personal purpose, is to inspire others to live healthy. However, for me, it was like, if I live and breathe it, the team will do the same. So it was about how I held myself, and then that influenced the team. So, I never said to certain people on my team, like, hey, we talk a lot about fasting, maybe you should go and do a fast. But that was something that I was doing. And through that, we've had our accounts lady has done like 25 days on water fasting and multiple juice fasts. We've had other team members do juice fasts. One of the teams started a weekly CrossFit workout. We created so something we did was we created like a staff hangout area on the mezzanine out the back of our office in Melbourne. And so it's just a cool place for everyone to kind of hang out, or at the end of a quarter, we'd celebrate and we have our team meetings and things in there. And now every Thursday when we're in the office, which currently in Melbourne, we're not, every Thursday we do a CrossFit workout out there, so by kind of living and breathing this healthy and fit kind of way of living, it kind of spills out into everyone, and everyone kind of tries and does their own thing. And we all unite on that purpose of wanting to create a healthier world. And so that's really important for me, kind of living that. And then for me, it's around encouraging people to, I'm really big on having the team take ownership and be their own leaders in their own ways, make mistakes, and I do tend to throw people in the deep end a little bit. I'm kind of learning to pare back a little bit, but
my team should feel a bit more comfortable about me doing that to them now.
Yeah,
I'm not the only one.
Yeah. But I think that kind of says a lot about the sort of people that we want on our teams. And like, I think everyone has the ability to be a leader and to be themselves, and by being thrown in the deep end, you kind of have to do that. You have to step into your own and do your shit, and like get sorted. And so I tend to do that, I guess, because I want to encourage that leadership and that ownership. And so I guess in terms of culture, like, we've created some spaces at work and whatnot, but I really encourage people to, like, health and like lifestyle is the number one thing. So if the team is out at lunchtime and they're sitting in the sun for half an hour and just taking a breath, like, I'm cool with that, provided the work's getting done, or if they want to go and sit outside with their laptop and do some work, absolutely. You want a bowl of fruit? Yeah, let's go for it, man. Like, do whatever is right for you and your body is kind of what we've been instilling. And I mean, that's what we represent as a business. We're a health and wellness company, and I want people on the team to be embodying that way of living as well. So, so I guess over time, it's just really following that purpose, having the team know what we're here to do, and living a bit of that lifestyle that we're selling, if you will, to our greater clients and community.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And so, you painted thanks for sharing the sort of the things that got you through, and you painted a bit of a grim picture back in 2017. Tell us what the sort of situation looks like today. What are your plans? And
yeah, cool. Well, I guess a lot has changed, and for our business, like I said, we don't sell saunas. We help people with their health. That's always been the focus. So now we focus on education and making sure it's a great experience for people working with us. And that's reflected in our reviews. We have like 300 or 400 reviews on Google now, 4 or 5 stars. And, it's really nice to see. And when people write, oh, we love the quality of the sales experience and the delivery experience and the after sale education and all this stuff, it's like, yeah, that's cool. So currently we're growing. The last 2 years we've been growing between 30 and 40% year on year. And we have some big stuff coming to market at the end of the year, which we could probably maybe talk a bit more about in another podcast closer to the time. But for me, the focus is on how can we help more people take their health to higher levels, both in Australia and around the world, and not just with sauna as well, because there's so much more to health. Sauna is that beautiful foundational element, and we're just continuing to expand upon that to really offer as much insight as we can to a healthy way of living. I always ask myself, like, what if there was no chronic disease in the world? What sort of world would that be? What if our homes were making us healthier and not sicker? And these are some really big questions that we're going to continue to help answer, be a part of the conversation, and inspire people to, help create that world with us, because I believe that world's possible. So that's kind of where we're heading. We're in a good place as a business now, and we have the opportunity to be able to help as many people as possible, and at the start of this year, I guess, to just open up a bit of a story, if we've got time, I think. At the start of this year, we'd come so far, and, we were in such a bad place in the start of 2017, and really toward the end of last year, start of this year, we were so far in the right direction from there. And I really kind of sat with myself for a couple of months and thought, okay, so what's next? What do I really want to create, and what do we want to create and stand for as a business? And over the next few months, if you keep an eye on iHealth Saunas, you'll see a lot of these changes coming to fruition, which is really, really exciting. And it's all about creating a healthier world, because that's what I'm so passionate about. Like, that's why I got involved with this business in the first place. That's what, if you go on my Instagram, I'm always talking about fruit or sunshine or something, because when we improve our quality of life or our health just 1%, the flow on effect from that is like, it's epic. There's no other way to put it, personally, but also to those around us. I used to hear it all the time. People would say, "Oh, Alex, since using the sauna, like, we just stopped buying junk food. Like, we just don't buy junk food. Like, we thought, well, we're feeling better from the sauna. Like, we don't need that anymore, Or they say, yeah, like, I'm walking more, or I'm working out a little bit more since using the sauna. I'm a bit less stiff, so I feel like I can do some more, That's so cool, because then they start walking a bit more, they start eating a bit more cleanly. Then guess what? They start feeling a bit better. We had a team member who started with us a year ago. He got a sauna, and within 2 months of having a sauna, and I think by that stage he was with us for like 8 months or so, he said, "Alex, I've stopped drinking." He said, "I just realized, like, why am I drinking every night? I don't need to." You just stop drinking just like that, because he was at this new level of understanding and feeling. And so he stopped drinking alcohol. And hey, nothing against having a couple bevs, with us, when you're celebrating something, but we don't need to be drinking every night, And for him, that was a really big move. And that's what it's about, because I know now initially he will have had some detox symptoms and, all the psychological aspect of that. But ultimately, he's going to be clearer. His liver's going to be working much more better. His whole body is going to be functioning better. He's going to be digesting better. He's just going to be more awake, and like, the list goes on, right? And that's really cool. Who knows? Maybe he'll take it, he'll do something else big for his health in the next little while. And that's kind of what we create at iHealth, is this space for people to be able to make change like this. And that's what it's all about for me.
Yep. And I think for business owners, I've seen so many instances of this where the business owner ggets healthier as it, like, physically and mentally and all of that has a massive impact on, in a good way, on their business. And so I think it even goes further than maybe, the relationships you mentioned, and who would say no to be healthier and having a greater experience with their kids and their partner. But I actually think it pays heaps of dividends back into us professionally, even. And
totally.
So much so, could I even argue it as a tax deduction?
I like your angle there. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm what most people would say pretty extreme with some of the choices I made around my health. A couple months ago, I did a 21-day fast on water, and in January last year, I did a 30-day fast. And here's the thing, right? After doing those fasts, and there was a bit of work to get the team to the point where I felt like I could go away for a month and not work at all, right? So there's a whole conversation around that. But after doing those fasts, and really, like, I let go of everything. Like, I let go of the business and what we're doing, like, because you have to in those extreme moments. After both of those fasts, our business just absolutely boomed both times. Like after the first time I fasted, like did this 30-day fast at the start of last year, came back and like we had our best quarter ever whilst I was away, because I was away for 8 weeks. We had our best, our best quarter from first quarter of the year, so Jan to March. It was our best quarter ever. I wasn't even there. I wasn't even thinking about work, and partly because we have an amazing team. And then like our business just took off. And then the same thing happened a couple months ago. 21 days, I was away for 4 weeks, and yeah, the business just did its thing. And then we went to different levels after that. And you could get esoteric and say, well, oh, you're making your health better, so the business does better. Whatever it is, maybe it's a coincidence, but like you said, when we improve our health, we make better decisions, and we have more energy to put into our business. And from my experience, every time I've made these little steps in my health, I've also started earning more money. The business has started doing better. I've had more clarity to make better quality business decisions. I can move quicker on things. I can follow my intuition more. And like from a business perspective, I can't really ask for anything more than that.
Yep. That's awesome. And I'm pretty excited to see what's in store for the future. And one of the things I'd like to know more about is the book. So tell us a bit more about the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book, it will either have just come out or it's about to have come out when this podcast will go live. It's called Health Supercharged, and it is about using infrared sauna and lifestyle choices that we can make to improve our quality of life. And it's basically just everything I've learned and been implementing over the last 7 years of my healing journey, through growing up with sauna and seeing the impact of that. And then how when we use sauna in conjunction with addressing these health fundamentals or foundations within our day-to-day life, how we can really supercharge our health, take it to a much higher level. So
great. And we will have the link to that book when the podcast is published. So have a look for that in the show notes. But if people want to get in touch with you, like, or even sort of see you, follow along your journey or your philosophies, how would they do that?
Yeah, so they can head to alextyson.com.au, or I am on Instagram at alextyson37. I also host a podcast called Sweat It Out. So you can find that on Spotify or the podcast app, and have a listen there. That's Sweat It Out's all about conversations with health professionals and just general people with incredible stories, and about getting the most out of this short time we have on the planet. We have an episode coming out soon, Ben, which I'm very excited to release. So head over there if you want to hear some great conversations as well.
Yeah, great. And we will also include a link to iHealth Saunas directly as well, just in case anyone is inspired to check them out or even get a sauna themselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ihealthsaunas.com.au. So
fantastic. All right. Well, hey, Alex, always a good catch up with you, good conversation. Thanks so much for being on the podcast, and I'm sure we will catch up. Probably, I definitely think we'll do another one when I guess you reveal the future of iHealth. I'm super excited. Thanks again.
Yeah,
mate.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and cheers.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. That was awesome.
Cool, mate. Thank you. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, no, it did. It did. And thanks for being transparent and vulnerable and all of those things.
I think it's important, especially around like finances. Like, I'm not going to go and say, oh, well, last year we made a net profit of 18% on a $5.5 million business. But aside from that, I think it's important for people to talk about money and their numbers, and not like there shouldn't be a taboo around it.
Yeah.
You know, like why is it weird that like people feel weird to show their friends their bank account? Like that shouldn't be weird, you know? Like I get why it is. I
Mm.
totally understand why it is, but I'm open to like trying to break some of that taboo, you know, because um yeah, I just don't think it's necessary. It's like it's similar to, and I'm only saying this because I had some interesting podcast conversations recently, but it's similar to like women talking about their periods. Like, why is that a taboo thing?
Mm.
And or men talking about like their intimate sex life with their other bloke friends. Like
Yeah.
that conversation just doesn't happen, you know. And I think it would be beneficial if it did, and people were more open about those things, you know. So
Mm.
I've never had any issues sharing like some of those more intimate numbers of the business because people might learn something, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, um,
Fantastic.
yeah, no,
Uh,
I appreciate you letting me ramble a bit, mate.
no, no, all good. All good. Well, it was well and truly in time. And yeah, no, so much value in there. So cool.